Welcome to episode 71 of the Guardian 1 podcast. We record live Thursdays at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, right here on twitch.tv/Guardian 1 Network. My name is Remy, and tonight I'm joined by Crimson Warlock.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Jez.
Good morning.
Agrios.
Greetings, Guardians.
And Sharks.
Bingo lag? Yeah, right.
Are you all right there, Crimson Warlock?
Uh-huh.
Are you sure? It sounds like you fell down a flight of stairs.
Yeah, it's kind of sounded like he jumped out of a plane.
Right, he's also skydiving.
Is that better?
No, not at all. In any way, shape, or form. Oh my god, that's atrocious. We are going to be talking about all things Destiny, but first, housekeeping.
Hello, Guardians. Thank you all for listening to the podcast, however it is that you're choosing to listen. Be sure to follow Guardian 1 on Twitter at G1Net. That's G, the number 1, N-E-T. You can also take a look at the Guardian 1 website at guardian1.net. If you do a search on bungie.net for Guardian 1, you'll find our forums group, of which we'll also use for both comments and feedback. Once again, you can watch the show live at twitch.tv/Guardian1 Network every Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. If you can't catch the show live, you can search Guardian 1 for the iTunes podcast, as well as go into the Guardian 1 YouTube channel at youtube.com/Guardian1 Network. Guardian 1 is a proud member of the Guardian Radio Network, so be sure to check out their website at theguardiansofdestiny.com. There you'll find all of the different podcasts that's part of the network, including Amos's Gaming, TTL Party Chat, Robust Radio, Ghost and Echoes, as well as the flagship podcast Guardian Radio. Guardian Radio broadcasts every Monday night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, on twitch.tv/Guardian Radio. You can also follow their Twitter account at Guardians of D and their YouTube channel, youtube.com/Guardians of D. That's all I have for now. Moving on.
Thank you, Hollow River. Lots of stuff to talk about today. Lots of cool stuff. Really, a ton of small stuff that we've missed throughout the last couple of weeks. You know, not enough to focus in an entire podcast on. But definitely, that was not what was stopping us from broadcasting. But no River. We do have Sharks 3D Man. Thank you for being here, Sharks. How you doing?
I'm doing great, and I love being here, so I'm even greater now.
Awesome. Are you playing Destiny?
I have been, not today. Today I decided to take a little break from it because I pissed myself off yesterday. I went and soloed the Nightfall 3 times, and I got crap rewards. So I was like, I'm done with this today. I'm gonna do something else.
Were they all
playing
ghosts?
World of Tanks. No, it was even worse than ghosts. I got a 295 chest piece. I got 11 3 of coins, and I got 18 strange coins.
Man, and you definitely don't need 18 strange coins. What is your strange coin count at this point?
It's over 1,000. I don't know the exact number. It's 1,000 and something. Yeah. And there's nothing I want to buy, so yeah, it's just pointless stuff.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here. Um, Agrios and Dendros, how are you doing, and are you playing Destiny?
Um, I did. I booted it up yesterday for the first time in a little while. This past week, I didn't play anything. In fact, I didn't even get in on the Division beta until its last extra bonus day because I had friends from out of town visiting, and I was crazy running around all over the place. Didn't even make it home a couple nights.
Man, I was
So,
wondering about that. I was wondering about that because like I've said previously, I see you online all the time. You're a very avid video game player. You play everything all the time, and so I was really excited to play this Division beta with you. I was like, well, like I know that you will be playing in a time frame that works with my schedule, and I can't wait to play this with you and talk with you about it. And I did not see you on, and I was actually concerned, but I didn't want to be like a big baby on Twitter and be like, "Hey, Agrios, what's going on? Are you avoiding me?"
I do that with sharks sometimes. That like after I haven't heard from a little while, I'm like, "Are you still alive? Did you fall off the face of the planet?"
Right. But
But
yeah,
no, these were like some old school like real good partying friends. So I was out tearing it up and needed lots of recovery time and such.
it's so funny because I could not even fathom what it would be that would take you away from video games. Like it was just
Crazy stuff.
yeah.
Crazy stuff.
um, but it is great to have you on the show. Great to be doing the show. Would really like to do the show every week. But shit happens.
Yes,
Unfortunately.
yes. Life gets in the way occasionally. We all unfortunately have to live lives other than video games. I know it's an unfortunate circumstance, but occasionally real life happens.
Right. And interestingly for me right now, I'm in that corridor with my children where my youngest, he's walking. He has been walking for a while, but now he's running and he's not yet qualified to run. So he keeps falling down and hurting himself, and it's amazing. And he's also in that phase where he just puts everything into his mouth. Like he's trying to eat everything that he can find, edible or not. And so I'm right in this very interesting place in my life where I have like such little time for video games, and it's part of what's keeping this whole thing back. Like there's so many things I want to do with Guardian 1 right now, and I'm at this place where this is probably the busiest outside of things I would like to do other than raising a family. And it's very time intensive. And Jez, he was the first person to answer the call today, and he says, "I don't mean to be the first person to answer." And I said, "I really appreciate that. You're a really good participant. Is that because you don't have kids?" He said yes. So great to have you on the show, Agrios.
Thank you.
Um,
Happy to be
Jez,
here.
Jez, Jez,
Hmm.
Jez. How are you doing? And have you been playing Destiny?
I've been pretty good. I haven't been playing Destiny a terrible amount, mostly doing like Tuesday stuff and then not logging in for the rest of the week. But yeah, that's pretty common lately, sadly.
Yeah. And this is because you've already done everything that you can do, or because you've run out of vault space, or what?
Mostly because I've already done everything, and at this point, it's just doing the same things over to get better loot. And that's not super fun if the loot is all the same with just different numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. Do you have is that part of your Tuesday thing is going through all those times, or do you have a separate section of video game playing time with a set amount of people? Like, do you know who it is going to be every week, or is it just you log on and see who's there and hope for the best?
It's kind of freeform because there's plenty of people getting ready to do things, and uh, the availability of people also depends on if they did it with data earlier. So stuff like that. So I don't really have a set people to do things with, but uh, just whoever whoever's there. I just know they can do it. We do it.
That sounds great. That sounds like a lot of fun. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
No
Uh,
problem.
Crimson Warlock, how are you doing? And are you playing Destiny?
Oh, I'm doing great. But not much Destiny right now. Um, been playing a bunch of other games and doing the family thing too. Just like you, Remy, my youngest started to rock on her hands and knees today. So she's gonna shoot off like a rocket here really soon, I feel. And after that, it's kind of game over, I think, until she falls asleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
But definitely getting ready to jump back into it. I think a part of my problem with Destiny right now is the people I was playing with pretty constantly about a year ago have just completely stopped playing Destiny, and so it's hard to get on. Like I don't really have anyone that I normally play with all to play with. I do have a big group with LDSG that I do a lot of stuff with, and so they've been great. Love those guys. But as of like constant people I'm always playing with, I really don't have too many, and I miss a lot of my Guardian 1 guys all the time from different schedules too. So not playing much, but hoping to get into some Crimson Doubles next week.
That sounds cool. So that's something that you're actually planning on doing?
Yeah.
What's your namesake? He better be in there.
I know. I can't let this community down by not playing something called Crimson Doubles, right?
Man, your connection is through the floor crazy. Like imagine somebody at karaoke running up to the mic and just going, and now we can't hear you at all. Which there's definitely something to be said for. But it's great to have you here. Thank you for joining us. I am doing well. Like I said, lots of kids stuff. Very cool, very time intensive, very quit running through the house. You're not old enough to be running through the house. I feel like this is going to be his thing, is reaching beyond where he is, which is cool. But I'm really ready to get back into playing some Destiny. But speaking of, I did finally beat the raid. I was finally led through the raid, and this was because of K-Dub. Shout out to K-Dub and also Mark from Guardian Radio. I logged on and I saw they were doing the daily, and so I messaged K-Dub and said, "Hey, do you want one more for the daily?" And so he invited me in, and then right after that, he's like, "Hey, man, we got you on. Let's gather up some people and do this raid." And I wasn't planning on doing the raid. I was planning on just doing like the test weapons is really all I log in for, test weapons, and also juggling an insane amount of junk. Like this is what I do in Destiny at this point. And so he rounded up Strider and also the Salt Queen, Aaron, and also, man, I can't remember his name right now, but that's not anything to do with him or his importance in my mind. I just can't. I'm seeing it, but I can't think of it. Really cool guy. He left Guardian 1 and went to the minions of the Salt Queen. Step up, step down. Congratulations to him. But yeah, it was really cool. The raid is really awesome. And it's crazy because just having somebody tell you what is going to happen next or what to expect, I think to myself, how in the hell is anybody supposed to figure this out on their own? It's really crazy, some of these things. And at the same time, I feel like a lot of what was in this raid was a build off of these other raids. And the mechanic that threw me first was, oh, I guess, I mean, do you think anybody's not played it yet who's going to play it, who listens?
We're almost, or are we half a year out from the expansion?
Yeah, there's no more spoilers.
Okay, cool.
If they haven't played it, then
The
Sean's just
statute of
gonna tell them
limitations
anyway.
is not this far out.
Okay, so is when Oryx smashes his hands down on that pillar, and then you're supposed to jump into it. Like that, it seemed counterintuitive to me, but if you think about it, those towers, when you're crossing the bridge in the dark below, you have to go right next to this dangerous place, and so it's a very cool raid. It's a lot of great visuals, a lot of great mechanics, um, and I really really hope to be in a place where I'm able to take part in this race to try, for world's first. Like I don't definitely I'm not playing enough to make that happen at this point in time, or really anytime soon. But I really want to be part of that. Like going through a section of the raid and not knowing what to do and figuring it out, that is so rewarding. There's just so much awesome in that. And I mean, I had a great time running through the raid with these guys, and I got some cool loot. Nothing. I think I got one thing that pushed my light level up, but that was only because I had done I had played a bunch of Iron Banner and then Sparrow Racing League. So I had already picked up a couple of 310s, one 320, so it wasn't a big push, but I'd really like to get into a groove where I have people to play with who want to, like you were saying, Jez, doing the same thing over and over, trying to get the same loot with different numbers. And that's, I don't know, it doesn't sound like the most exciting thing, but definitely
See, I
something.
know in like a lot of MMOs and other games, all the loot has like a slight variation to it. Like some of the loot has different stats to focus on, and we kind of have a very monotonous, basically go for int or go for discipline for your grenades. There's no like, oh, I want to get this stat up so that I can shoot my bow further or something like that. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. Or even tier sets that give you some completely different augmentations to your abilities.
So are you saying that all of the raid weapons are the same? Like if you get that one scout rifle, it's always the same nodes?
No, it's different nodes, but the nodes that can come on it, there's usually three bad options and one option that you want.
Got it. Got it. And it's a combination of those. So you might
Yeah.
get one and then two you don't want and then a different one.
Yeah, like there's literally, I think on the raid weapons, you can only have one slot that changes. Or maybe it's
Yeah,
two.
that's how like some of the Trials of Osiris weapons are too. Like that
Yeah,
scout
because
rifle, if I'm not mistaken, it just has like two of them that change on there, and that's it,
yeah,
or
because
whatever.
you're guaranteed to get cocoon.
Like you can get a different lineup of three different sites, I think, on some of them, and then just the final perks all that changes on different ones. So yeah, there's only so many options on some of those.
Basically, what I'm saying is it's a very unsatisfying gear grind.
Yeah.
I would have to concur to that. Like it was much better when I mean, in my opinion, I think it was much better when you had reforging because you could go just put time into earn materials to at least keep getting variations of the specific gun you want. Now, if it's like a raid weapon or a trials weapon or whatever, depending, you have to not only are you going to try to get new rolls of that gun to get the perfect one, but you might not even get the one you want that time you run it. Whereas with reforging, you could just put time into materials and then at least go for targeted rolls on the specific gun you're looking for.
Okay. So I'm glad that you said that because you sparked this thought that I've been wanting to talk about on the show, but I wasn't certain how I was going to fit it in. This is perfect. So I've been thinking a lot how Bungie can improve our vault space and improve our quality of life. So with the exotics, you're able to, once you get them, you're able to delete them, and if you need it, you can go back into this thing and this area and repurchase it. And that has always been really cool in my mind. Like, it was really cool to delete some of the exotics that I just knew I was never going to use, or knew I was going to use so rarely that in the specific situation, I wouldn't mind just putting down a shard and 2,500 glimmer. It's not a big deal, especially with how few motes it takes to completely upgrade it. It's really quite a good deal. But with so many different options on legendary guns, I couldn't figure out what would be the best way of archiving those, so to speak. Uh, and and I was thinking about it the other day while I was walking my dog, and I thought, this is it. What you need to do is you need to be able to put one specific one away. So like you have a slot for whatever weapon it is. You can hold one Venation 3. You can only hold one Venation 3, and so whatever one you put in there, like you keep getting Venation 3s until you find the one you want and you archive that one. Then you can delete it from your thing. You don't have to worry about, well, what role is it going to have? It will save your exact role. Um, and this could go for anything. You know, and I was trying to work within the parameters of kind of what we already have, which would be this kiosk where you just, here is this one I want to put away, and then you don't have to worry about, you know, the different roles or whatever. And I think this would be great, because seriously, when I do end up having time to play Destiny, I am totally turned off from playing Destiny because I've just reached this place where I'm just done deleting stuff that I spent so much time getting. And I understand that it's what's it worth to you, or did you have fun using it then? But I don't want to delete these things. There's just some things I'm not. I've reached the end. I'm juggling things, and more than half of my time playing Destiny, when I get to play Destiny, is trying to figure out where to move guns and things like this. Guns and armor. You know, I've been I've been sitting on 6 to 8 to 12 different items in the postmaster just because I have no place to put it. You know, some of these I got extra helmets that have a higher roll than my alt characters have. So I'd like to be able to transfer those to them, but which ones? And because I don't have enough space in the vault, I'm just uninterested. You know, why would I spend time, you know, going through the hard road hard mode raid? Why would I try and build up to that when I don't have room to put any of this stuff? And it's really starting to weigh on me. Yeah.
I think a little bit of it has come down to Destiny over its development. And like, I mean, a lot of people have joked around by like, we're playing like a living beta. And I mean, Bungie, just short of actually saying that, has pretty much concurred that Destiny is always evolving. And I think over the course of its first like year and a half or so, it definitely went through a bit of an identity crisis, I guess would be a good way to put it. Like they go from encouraging collections and the benefits of having been around then to get that neat thing to,
Man, totally.
well, you have to delete things. You had your fun with that, and now you need to make room for your stuff in the future. And it's hard to say whether this identity crisis was caused by the developer's desire to put out what he wanted versus his technical limitations, or conflicts in the direction that the creators wanted to take Destiny. It's hard to say. We don't have the data. We can only speculate on that type. What we cannot see is the results. And it is very clear that there is like a bit of some sort of conflict going between collecting things and collections. I mean, they did give us these kiosks so that we could continue collecting things and making collections. They seem to encourage that. But by the same note, you're punished if you do collect a lot of things.
Totally. And really,
So
those kiosks were easily my favorite addition to the game, moving into this current phase. Like the ability to just delete, you know, here's some spaceships that I don't want to have in my inventory, but I don't want to see go away forever. I've really been, that's another thing that I've been doing, is I've been collecting those ships that I don't have. For some reason, I didn't buy that EX-21 on the Xbox, despite it coming back 2 times. and that makes me sad because it's one of the rarer ships out there. But just being able to look at this list, here's this list, being able to go and purchase it and then delete it and have it. I want to collect. That is one of the things that drives me to play this game. But then I look at my collection. I don't even mind. I don't even care that all of the weapons that I'm holding on to are trash. I don't even care. I'm not keeping my shadow price because it's an overall killer. I keep it because I love it. Same thing with my Dr. Nope. I keep it because I love it.
But by the same note, you don't know that this won't be a ridiculous standard Crucible Guardian killer at some point in time again. The way they keep flipping the meta back and forth, just like I mentioned before, how they've stated that, well, there are benefits of having been around then. Well, in several situations, the various changes they've made to the meta have certainly re-empowered old standard weapons in the Crucible, or old weapons in the standard Crucible, I mean.
Yeah.
So if you went and deleted all of those old weapons, then you are simply at a disadvantage against other Guardians in certain circumstances in standard Crucible. So you're punished one way or the other, really.
Yeah, I've heard lots of talk about thorns being used in Crimson Doubles. I'm excited to see if that's the way it rolls out. I kept mine for just such an occasion. Really quickly, shout out to a girl named Wendy. Welcome to the stream. She says it's her first time here. I was going to type it into this box, but for some reason my keyboard has stopped working, so I'm not going to mess around with that anymore. Also, as randomly says, well, the meta changes. What was once good, cough, fusion rifles, cough, become garbage. And that's just it. I've got several fusion rifles that I used so much, it just really became this go-to. I know how it's going to respond, and there's a magic to that. There's a magic to the look and the feel of these things that I don't want to, even though they're garbage, I don't want to get rid of it. Our Velvet J says we need a raid weapon kiosk. Yes, that would definitely free up some portion of my vault, but it wouldn't make a big enough difference that I would probably be looking at having it all filled up within like 2 weeks. Of just regular playing. I would have that filled up by 2 weeks. I think we need something that's a little bit more permanent. And to be honest, I don't feel like them increasing vault space is the right direction to go.
Well, see, I don't know, because I feel like the game they've developed encourages people to go out and get different variations on guns and try them out. Like, you have 3 characters, you can buy how many Arms Day packages, total among them all to get all those new guns every week, and how many of them just simply have to be deleted every week because it's not humanly possible to level all those up to where their perks are functioning and try them out within a week. I mean, if you have all your Guardians maxed and you're getting all your Arms Day packages.
Yeah.
So, like, the game's encouraging you to go out and try out. Like, I got these 3 different machine guns or auto rifles, and they all fire, very differently. They have very different stat setups, but they're the same auto rifle. Well, if I want to go out and try those out and see how much fun they are to me, I just don't have the space to do it. So the space is literally limiting my ability to play as much or how I would like to.
I think on top of that, or at least making that worse, is the fact that it takes so much experience to level up a gun versus an exotic piece of gear. Exotic pieces of gear are so simple and quick to level up. I don't understand why legendaries aren't something similar, because that could free up a lot of my space. Because you're right, there's some guns where I'm like, well, this has counterbalance, and then these 2 similar, and this one has rodeo, and these 2 similar. And if I could just level each of those up really quickly and go out into the field and test them out, it would allow me to get rid of the stuff I don't want so much easier. And so now I've just been really comparing being like, which one is more important to me? Is Third Eye more important to me? Is Icarus more important to me? And I've just been making like crazy hasty cuts. Do I really want this one? Let me see what sights it has on it. And this would also help with if I had that ability to favorite weapons, just that additional click of the right stick that I've been talking about forever that marks it instead of just locked as something that I enjoyed or wanted to keep around definitely. Um, but yeah, I feel like because it takes so much to level up these legendary weapons, it's not helping me decide. And you're right, they just sit there, and I want to play. I want to play more, but seriously, half of my playtime is inventory management. And what's crazy is that was something that I was really enjoying prior to that. Was is inventory management. I love shuffling shit around. You know, it's very cool. As randomly says favorite equals lock. It does not. Lock equals do not accidentally delete. Favorite would be like a star or something, which would be in addition to do not accidentally delete. This is different from the ones I don't just want to randomly delete because when I get a
I
legendary piece of gear, I lock it so that I don't accidentally delete it. But I can't differentiate every single locked one. You know.
it's sort of like in other games, and this would work for me too in Destiny, is that you can tag things as junk as well as tag things as locked. So if I could do that, what I really just need is 3 stages of sorting, to be honest. Like if I tag things all as junk, well then I wouldn't have a risk of accidentally deleting something that wasn't tagged as junk because I would just only delete junk. It's been specifically cited and tagged as junk. So I would be okay with locked and also a junk tag. But
Yeah, you know what else? That would actually be a really good, maybe not as useful to me, but you're totally right. Being able to mark something as junk, like I will get these pair of pants. They're like 298, and I'll think I want to put these to my other characters, and if I could just mark that as junk, then I would know that I'd want to get rid of it. But that would be the same to me as just locking something. It would be, what do I want to use this for? And then favoriting would be,
mhm.
I definitely don't want to get rid of this. I really, really need I definitely don't want to get rid of this option, you know?
If you could favorite things, then they could add filters in your vault that would say, "Hey, show me everything that's
Oh,
favorite,"
man. You're totally right. That would be really
or
cool.
sort them to the front. Some sort of sorting method in the
Well, I
vault.
don't know why already that when the page that isn't filled isn't the first page.
Yeah, that's a good question.
That drives me insane.
Even when you just switch back from the other menu, like I was already looking at the second page, and then I go to my inventory, and then I go back to the vault, and it's back on the first page.
Yeah, it should be the most current items that you put in your inventory showing by default at first, not the oldest ones. Why do I want to see the thing that I haven't touched in moving 40 other items before it? It's been there for that long. I'm probably not going to move it this time.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what I'm looking at. I'd really love to play, and even when I do get to play, I'm just shuffling shit around, and it's, I don't know. I do need more vault space, but I don't think that that's the way Bungie is going to take it moving forward. I feel like the idea of a kiosk is the solution, because I mean, could you imagine if instead of introducing these kiosks, they just put more vault space for ships and shaders? It would just be a mess. It would just be this gigantic list. Do I need every single shader right now? No. If I do, I can go to this one section. So I really feel like another kiosk would be better. Or
And I
maybe
mean, but
maybe there could be, even just inside the vault, well, no, that doesn't make sense either, because that's just more vault space. Go on.
well, that's why I think it's like the instant. I don't know how the development works, but I think it has something to do with instances of the vault in where they're existing. So if you were willing to go to another zone that would load another memory instance and go to a completely separate vault, I don't see that why they couldn't provide more storage in that regard. But once again, like I said, I don't understand how all that works.
Right, it sounds like we're talking about something simple. um
But I know we're also, I want to note this now, that we're complaining an awful lot about Destiny right now, and about like a lot of maybe even seemingly nitpicky things to someone. So to a person who's not a collector in video games, that's not one of the things they get off on in video games. this might just be Greek to them. They're like, well, I deleted everything that wasn't Taken King the day Taken King dropped. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I also want to put that you guys aren't even talking about collecting at this precise moment. You guys are talking about hoarding.
Well, no,
And
I'm
there
not.
and no, there
No,
is a
no, no,
difference.
no.
No, there is a difference
Wanting to
because
have the collection of all of the Iron Banner outfits for my collector,
I
for my character.
understand that, but that's not what you guys are talking about. You guys are talking about, well, I want to have this gun, this gun, this gun, this gun, and this gun all saved because later on this gun might be better and this gun might change with the meta and blah blah blah
No,
blah blah. So
that is just
that's
one aspect. That is
yeah,
just one aspect.
but what I'm saying is that's hoarding. Okay, and I think I honestly now you have to realize everybody that's listening is I'm just as bad as Remy and Agrios. I collect. I've bit the bullet and I've deleted stuff because I know that I can't collect and it's pointless. But it's really killed me, and I still have I have my shadow price. But I'm gonna play.
That's in
But
the nutshell. No, go ahead. Go
you're
ahead.
right,
Go ahead. Yeah.
but I'm going to play Bungie's role at the point. They don't want people to collect, okay? And they've appeased us by doing certain things, but in reality, they do not want us to collect. They don't come out and say it, but they do
Well, but,
things like this to force us not to be able to collect. Yeah, I
and
mean,
I
there
think
are other
some people at Bungie don't want us to collect, but that's where I
right.
was going with that crisis of identity, because they've done things to encourage collecting before. They've even made out and out statements that, well, that's one of the benefits of being around early, is that you'll have some of these things that don't exist anymore.
Except
And they
True.
do
we
things like
all
giving you the veteran
yeah,
sparrow bike and all
yeah,
those
you
things. You know
also
what I
have to
mean?
realize is that over the course of from pre-alpha, they have told us a lot of things that haven't happened. So, we all
Right.
know that there's lots of stuff that's going on within Bungie, and for whatever the reasons are, it's the way it is, and they may change later on, but at this moment, this is how it is, and we just need to deal with it. We just need to stop saying, "Oh, well, I want it to change. I want it to change." It's not going to change. It's not just going to. They're
But
not
that's
just
the problem. And I'm wondering if it's not going to change
going to
in
turn
large
around and
part
say,
because
"Okay,
they
fine.
don't want
You guys
to
can start
last.
collecting."
All right, I lost both of you. What were you saying, Agros?
Yeah, I lost people too. I think we all kind of cut out from one another briefly.
Continue with what you're saying.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I heard sharks come back in, then after I was talking, I wasn't sure what was going on. All right. So what I was saying was like Shark said before, he finally broke down and deleted things, and it killed him a little bit. Like if these little things that, and I wonder if, like I said, if last gen is what's holding a lot of this back. If it wasn't for their wanting to have that in such consideration, if they could open up the next gen version a lot more for these things. Because although I still have fun when I play Destiny, usually only when I'm playing Destiny with other friends, though. That's really the only time I still actually have fun with Destiny is, because I'm playing with friends. I could be having a lot more fun with it. And that's what kills me, is that given the simple little bit more room with memory and whatnot, I could be out there field testing a lot more different interesting weapons and maybe find something I like a little more than the loadout I have. I could be out there making sure I earn every piece of Iron Banner gear for every one of my characters. But because I know that it's going to kill me to have to delete the stuff eventually after I go through all that to earn it, there's just simply no point in me doing it. It causes me more negative feelings and distress to go out and collect it in the first place and delete it than to simply just not play and collect it at all. And
Right.
all these complaints are because I find that extremely unfortunate. I want to go collect it. I just can't.
Right. You've actually had to delete things that you spent a lot of time working towards, like Iron Banner gear. What was the point? What was like it, you know what I think the problem that I have most directly is the fact that they've acknowledged, Deej has said previously, people want to collect. Like that's what the whole uh, increasing vault space was because people want to collect. People put time into this, and then they want to save these things. And Sharks, I would like to amend what you were saying. I believe hoarding is the action of keeping stuff, whether it's whether it has any value at all, like trash, like
To the
if
detriment of one's own life.
yeah. And collecting is, when I go in and I say, okay, well, I have to have this new gun, and I have to go into my vault and I have to delete something. It pains me, not because I don't want to throw anything away, but because the stuff that I have right now means something to me because I love it. I
I
love.
understand. I agree with you, and I understand what you're saying. But when you and Agris both said, "Oh, I want to mark it as junk, but still not throw it away,"
No,
that's
no,
where
no.
I'm
I never
saying it's
said that.
working.
I want to mark things
Well,
as junk so that I know they're okay to use for infusion stock and stuff.
That's what I'm talking about too.
Like that way, I'll
all
have
right.
3 stages of things. I'll have the locked items that I definitely already don't want to delete, that they're either parts of collections or sentimental value, or I'm currently using. It's my go-to gun. They're all locked.
Right.
Then there would be the ones that aren't locked or marked as junk. And those are the ones I got for Arms Day that I'm currently testing out. Once I test out a gun and say, well, this gun's crap, I don't like it, mark it as junk. It can be used for infusion stock now.
Right, instead of having to do something
That's
with
what
it
I'm
right that second, or forgetting whether or not you liked it because you ended up having to do something else in between the
exactly.
time of infusion and the time you realized you needed to infuse it. Yeah. Um, yeah, I see that too. Um, so Crimson Warlock, I heard you throwing that bag of cans down the stairs. Was that something? Is this something you wanted to add to this conversation?
Um, Sorry about my connection. I apologize. But I was just gonna say, hopefully, we do see more, uh, I guess, work to sustain collecting in Destiny 2. I mean, hopefully, that's what we see, and we can experience more of that. Just because I feel like Destiny 1 right now, in a lot of ways, is kind of like a seasonal aspect where once that new season or like with Taken King started, it's like forget all the old stuff, off the old in with the new. And it has been kind of frustrating. Like I think that's one of the things that for me is kind of turned me away from Destiny currently is there's just for me right now in the game there's way too much time sink for not enough reward. Um, to constantly be at 310 plus and never see an item like that will increase my light for me. I'm just like, why put in time to it right now until I feel like I can actually make progress with my character? And that's definitely something that's really put me put Destiny off in my opinion a little bit right now. Is I just don't feel like it's worth my time to play if I don't feel like I can progress at all.
Yeah. Well, and that to me is where collecting brought up that section that was missing. So you're saying you can't find any gear that's going to raise your light level, and that's what's most important right now is raising your light level. But in addition, you also don't have any way of just commemorating the experience because not only is it going to be worthless at some point in the future, but you don't have room to keep it around. So, and that's where I have gained so much of my fondness in Destiny is, okay, none of those weapons from year one are viable. That's fine, but collecting them, like getting it and using it through those times, there's a lot of connections in my brain that are saying this was a good time. I used this forever, and so instead of having to worry about, well, all of this was a total waste of time because I couldn't raise my light level, I would think to myself, well, at least I still have this. At least I still have this weapon or this piece of gear, and this is kind of like a trophy in and of itself. Like I put my love into this, and so when I see it, I'm happy that it's there. Um, and so yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Jez, did you have anything else you wanted to add to this?
No, I was summed up at the start of the conversation.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, so I would like to move on. Quite a while back, Seer Prophet asked me on Twitter, what would it take for me to quit Destiny completely? Like, what would it take for me to walk away 100%? And it took me a long time to come up with an answer because I love Destiny so much. I love the world. I love the setting. I love the. If you go back and you look at the different the Vidoc, they keep saying they wanted to build a world that was hopeful and one you'd want to keep coming back to, and it really is. There's been games that weren't very hopeful, stuff like Dead Space, where you are just totally effed the whole game. I enjoyed that, but not nearly as much as I enjoy this. Things are not great for humanity, but you're not alone in this dark enclosure being hunted by these really scary, horrible aliens. It's a world that is hopeful and it is nice. And so it took me a long time to think about it, and I really wanted to wait until an episode. I really wanted to wait until an episode where River was here because he's at some point part of the show, and I was certain he was going to have an interesting take on this. Um, so why don't we start with you, Sharks? I would love to know what it would take for you to just drop Destiny altogether.
Where my friends didn't log on at all anymore. That's what I would say. But in reality, my friends don't log on at all anymore. And it, I still jump on, and I still play. But I I think I'm getting to the point where I'm getting very, very frustrated with Destiny. I love it. I mean, I'm like you, Remy. I just like getting in there, walking around. Every once in a while, I'll go to a spot that I haven't been to for a while and be like, yeah, I forgot how cool it looked here. And oh, there's some blueberries shooting there. Here, I'll shoot with them a couple minutes and I'll leave. But what's frustrating me is one, the lack of new content. I think that Bungie need to get into gear and do something about it. Um, Not necessarily. They don't even have to actually necessarily give me content right now, but they have to tell me that there's content coming. Either one or the other. The other thing that I think it's the reward system absolutely sucks. We all know it. We've talked about it for a long time, and every once in a while they do something different, and I think, okay, well, maybe they are improving upon it. But if they don't improve the reward system and I don't get new content, uh, that might really kind of draw me away from it too. But I don't know if you guys noticed that Daniel Out posted that he is part of the new reward system crew, and so I said, I'm looking forward to seeing how the new reward systems come into effect. So that's, again, it's something new coming into Destiny. I loved when the Sparrow Racing came on, so I was totally into that. And it wasn't exactly really that much content. They don't have to give me much, but they got to give me something. But if they're not going to give me anything and they're not going to talk about it, that might kind of push me away from it, because it, like everybody else is saying, it's just becoming it's not exciting anymore. And especially if you're doing it like solo or only with one person here and there, it just gets really not exciting anymore. I mean, it was even the same with Iron Banner. Hardly anybody was on during Iron Banner. And then when the Division beta was going all out, people were just like jumping ship. It was kind of like with the Battlefield. So losing the people that you play with, lack of content, and crap rewards just makes me not want to really play. But I haven't gotten to the point yet where it's pissed me off enough that I'm not going to.
Okay, so yeah, losing people that you play with, that is something that I've really been thinking about recently as well. And and I love Destiny, and I will always want to play Destiny, and with the amount of time I can play, I will always have something to do in Destiny. And like you mentioned, the Division beta, and I am going to buy the division when it comes out if enough people from this community are going over there to play. Because as much as I started with Dear Bungie and Guardian 1 with the intention of making it totally Destiny, I realized over the last couple years that what has really solidified all of this for me is the community. So if enough of you people are going to buy another game, I will buy that game as well and play with you because I love Destiny. I always want to play Destiny, but I'm here now because of this community. I love the community. I love that this game Destiny it pushed me to interact with people in a way that I had not yet interacted with. And I've done a lot of projects previously and things that just never really took off because I didn't interact with the community. I was too internal with it, and Destiny, I don't want to say it forced me to reach out to other people, but it really brought it out of me. I wanted to reach out and talk to people. I wanted to discuss my love for this. I wanted to discuss when we're going to play. And so I will just announce it right now. I was watching um, D Bulge. He was streaming on his Twitch channel, and I logged in and I started hanging out with him and chit chatting, and it was a really cool experience to kind of get to know him through this way, like watching him play. Same thing happened with Bach, Mr. Bach 3000. He was streaming our podcast while he was playing Destiny, and that was really cool. That was really cool for him to be, basically killing two birds with one stone. But as we were chatting, I got to know him more. So I'm putting together an entire suite, like an entire social media section of Guardian 1 that will be for anybody within Guardian 1 to stream through any game. Um, you know, it, I want to keep Guardian 1 Network the way it is right now. We have a lot of people who are interested in what we're producing right now, and right now that's really only this podcast. And I don't want to start adding other games and doing things to drive away that viewership. I'm definitely interested in adding other podcasts or other shows to this specific channel. That would be really cool. But I wanted to have another outlet for people to get together. So I'm putting together this whole Twitch, Twitter web page presence where anybody within the group will be able to play anything, and then this will be like our way of getting in contact with each other. It was really cool to sit in Dan's stream and just get to know him a little bit better. It was really cool to have that interaction, and I want to push that further within this group for everyone to see and hear. If you are out there listening to this and you're interested in this kind of thing, where you would get to know the different members of this group, it was a lot of fun, and I will be pushing out those details sometime in the near future. It's again, I'm internalizing the whole thing, and I really should be reaching out to other people, but I'm not. So that's something that's going to be coming out because I don't want to lose contact with people. Losing people you play with to other games it's something that's going to happen. I mean, even I choose to play other games because I enjoy playing games that aren't just Destiny, and because Destiny isn't set up for me to just collect whatever I want. Okay, I have 45 minutes of game time. I can spend all of that rearranging the stuff in my vault, or I can just play some other game, Fallout, where I can just have as much stuff as I want. I could just put a safe in the floor and stick all of that stuff in there. That's handy. That's awesome. So I want to keep it going. I want to grow Guardian 1 in as many ways as Guardian 1 is going to grow. And the division was really cool. I enjoyed the division. There was things like the upgrade system with weapons where you could trade out the grip, you could trade out the muzzle and the scope. and the magazine had a different option. Like those are all things that I really wanted in Destiny. I wanted to be able to Frankenstein guns together in this way, and so I definitely see the draw. I don't think that I would buy it on my own just because it's not. It doesn't feel like a hopeful world. There's body bags everywhere, and it's. I don't know. It's not.
I like the very short time I spent with it. It's high on my list again. I wish I would have gotten my had enough time to like get up to the dark zone, like get together with a group and go in the dark zone. But I just barely had time to like learn how things worked and explore around the map a little while. That's all I really had time for. Did you make it up to like diving into the dark zone with teams?
I didn't get in with teams, but I did get to the dark zone, and it was really fun. There's two people who emerge in the dark zone. Well, maybe three, but I didn't see the third one because they're quiet. There's the people who want to go around and shoot other people, and then there's the people who wait for those other people to shoot other people and then shoot those guys. And
Because
that's
you get marked for shooting other people. So there's like rogue agents and rogue agent hunters, basically, is what you're saying.
exactly. And I was one of those rogue agent hunters, and that was a lot of fun. Shooting somebody who has shot another player.
Well,
That was
I,
really
I
cool.
kind of I watched a couple of videos. Mainly, I watched Bife play a little bit, and I thought it was interesting how they had like a you get marked more and more. Like once you kill so many people, like your team manages to kill so many people, you get like your team gets like super marked. It becomes like a giant map objective for everybody to kill your team because you're like super rogue agents and stuff.
Yeah,
And really looks like it makes for an interesting time.
yeah. I was really turned off from it because the idea of the best gear and loot being in this place where people can just shoot you while you're waiting for for the thing to arrive. I'm not interested in that kind of interaction.
Oh, I am. That sounds like fun.
It goes you know what, it goes back to my lack of time playing. Like instead of spending an hour in this dark zone and getting all my stuff taken, and then that's the end of my game time. If I had 8 hours to maybe work one of those hours really good, it would be different.
Well, I think it's
um
a risk versus reward situation. Like if I understood correctly, like better chests are like deeper in the dark zone, so
uh
you could just run in, get one item from somewhere nearby, then extract it, and like an easy
This,
yeah,
this
just
isn't
peck
this
away at it.
isn't
You get more
Destiny.
powerful.
This isn't Destiny.
What? Wait, what?
I thought Sharks was saying this is a Destiny, and I was like, well, that
No,
doesn't make any sense.
no, this is not Destiny. You guys are not talking about Destiny. Just saying, there's a lot of stuff to talk about.
No, there
Oh
is a
yeah,
lot of
no,
stuff
you're
to
right.
talk about.
We are getting way off track. That's a good point. No, I didn't understand what you were talking about, but yeah.
Yeah,
So,
but I
but
mean,
yeah, needless to say, it doesn't.
yeah. So yeah, my point was just that this community means a lot to me. The people listening to this podcast, I'm certain. I mean, Seer Prophet, the person who the question that we're talking about right now, he hasn't played Destiny since November, and he still listens to this podcast because he enjoys what we have to say, even though he's not playing Destiny. He wants to hear what we have to say. Um, he
I do
tweeted
think talking. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
he tweeted out. I asked him why he still listened to the podcast. Like I said, looking the gift horse in the mouth, why is it that you still listen to the podcast if you don't play Destiny? And he said it was because we felt like family, at this point, like listening to us talk and hearing the way we talk about it. And he also enjoys, what each of us has to say. Uh, and so yeah,
And
that's
that's where I was going to go with what I was about to say was like
yep,
I think talking about the Destiny beta is actually important because so much of this community is evolving into it. I mean, all my favorite people I follow on YouTube instantly all had Division beta play videos up and are talking about the Division beta. It feels like some of a natural evolution to a degree. Like I'm going to run into a lot of people on my playlist from Destiny while I'm playing the Division beta. I'm certain, or while I'm playing the Division game at this point. I'm certain.
yeah, exactly. That's part of my point as well. Is that even the hardcore among us, at some point they've run out of stuff to do in Destiny, and I get it. Bungie doesn't want to be everyone's everything. And Destiny
I want
could.
to be my everything.
What's that?
I want them to be my everything.
I do too. I do too. To be perfectly honest, I do too. I expected them to, um, but I think that they want to steer away from the Flappy Bird syndrome, where people are like seriously getting addicted to it. You know, they give us just enough to keep us happy. Some of us, you know. um, so yeah, why don't we get right back into it? Agrios, what would it take for you to completely ditch Destiny? Like here is the line. What would they
Bungie
have
would
to do?
have to do something evil as a corporation.
Are
Like
you talking?
they would have to like send guerrilla soldiers into some small country in South America and slaughter tribes of people, or like go poaching endangered species somewhere, or like fundamentally help overturn human rights laws.
Okay, okay, that's fair. Uh, I like that a lot. So no
I
amount
might take
of
time off, but
so like not even like crazy microtransactions. Like what if they started selling the best gear for real
well,
money?
you go too far into microtransactions, you're crossing that evil corporation line. Like I granted I gave some really extreme examples, but like you can go down a bad road with microtransactions.
What
Like
if
if
they
I
change
felt
the graphic on your cloak?
I already have changed stuff on my stuff. Hate it, but I'm not going to stop playing Destiny over it. I enjoy the parts I enjoy about Destiny. Like I always say, we're super critical on Destiny here, but it's because we love it. Why else we get together every freaking every week and talk about it for 2 hours if we didn't love it? But that's why we're super critical of it. That's I'm super critical of all these things I really really hate about it, and it has a lot of things I really really hate about. But I wouldn't be that passionate about it if I didn't care about it. The things I dislike about games I don't play, I don't hate them. I don't have that much passion toward them. But like things that are bad about Destiny, I really, really hate it because it takes away from the things I really, really like about it. So they would have to cross that line into being like an evil corporation. And yes, you're right. Like they could do it in game with microtransactions. They could go down a really, really, really bad route. But like I would just be dissatisfied for a long time before I like just simply never played it again.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Let's see. Bobcat, what's up? He's in his second. He's starting his second week of treatments today. Very, very good luck with that. Scary,
Okay.
scary stuff. Glad to see that you're still with us. Um, R Velvet J says we just need news on the future of Destiny, and this is a really great point. I was watching a video of Gathalions earlier today, and he brought up a good point. Was that in year one we kind of knew what was going on because of that leaked materials, and now we have no idea what's going on. And he's saying that people are giving him crap because he doesn't critique Bungie, and he's always just good times. And he explains that he really loves Destiny. He really, really, really loves Destiny, and even with its shortcomings, he is going to keep playing it because it's awesome. Because it's awesome, and I feel exactly the same way. Like even with its shortcomings, and it's funny because I've said before, I'm not even done. I'm not even done. I've done the raid once on one system. I've got plenty of stuff to do. Um, it just comes back to time for me. So I'm part of me is insanely jealous of the people who have already done it a bunch of times, and they're at 318, 319, 320. Like I'm jealous of the people who have run out of stuff to do because I want to be there. I want to have already run out of stuff to do.
I actually want to say something about what you just said there. People are asking Italian, why aren't you more critical? And it really makes me laugh because if we're pretty critical, right? And we get away with a lot of stuff. People don't really moan at us about saying stuff, but the thing is that people do not like people that bitch and moan all the time. And I guarantee that if Goth or if Data or More Console or any of the big guys out there really started like really pounding into Bungie, people would say, "Oh, you're just an ass. You're all high and mighty and thinking." People are never happy. people
This is
never
true.
will be happy, you know. And it's just like, you know, that they're giving the content that they always have, you know. Be happy with that. Don't expect them to change to suddenly start, you know, being this you know, like these crazy newscasters that you have, like on Fox News, the newscasters that go out there like Bill O'Reilly and just trash talk people. That's not what our community is. It hasn't ever been that way. So why do people expect it to suddenly start happening just because we're not happy with what Bungie's doing at the moment? You know, it's get over it.
Yeah, yeah, I hear that. Um, I hear that, and I'm thankful for it. It's really one of the reasons I love this community so much, is because so many of them are constructive thinkers. You know, why is it that you're upset at Destiny? Like I can't handle the people whose comments are Destiny is dead, who still plays it. You know, like I understand a lot of people have moved on to other games because they're done with the current content. But to say that this game is dead, to say that Bungie's best game to date is dead when you compare it to something as meteoric as Halo. Halo was huge. Halo apparently is still huge, and it's run its course, you know, several times over. And this Destiny is doing better than any other game they've ever made,
Well,
including.
not, you know, and all the people that are saying it's dead. Well, then why are you going on to More Consoles page and listening to what he's talking about the game, or why are you going on to Goth's page or Goth's videos or everything else? You know, those people obviously still like the game too. That's just their way of moaning, and I'm sick of hearing it that way too. You know, but yeah, it's just ridiculous.
As randomly says, I want Bungie to add more cloaks. That's it. That's all I want. More cloaks for my hunter. And at some point, I started collecting cloaks for my hunter, and I've got a ton of them. I don't know what I would do with more cloaks. There's cloaks out there that I want right now that I don't have any space for. And so I'm kind of glad that I haven't come across any of them, because I would have to delete some of the stuff I have right now. Any of those flares I don't have, I want Tanix's cloak. There's an entire line of like joking squid cloaks that I think look amazing, but I don't want to delete anything that I've already got because I already appreciate all the stuff that I have. You know what? That could be something that could really loosen up the vault space, is if there was. Oh, but no, I guess cloaks do have different things now. When they were cosmetic, that was a different story.
Yeah,
Um,
they don't send it back to being cosmetic like they promised. You know, that's what they said. Oh, you're going to be able to use it because it's not going to mean anything. And then suddenly they changed that too. And they added cloaks have something on them. And now artifacts have something on them too. You know, it's another way for them to screw, you know, I shouldn't say this, but it's another way for them to screw us over as far as not being able to collect stuff, because now you have to have certain versions of that too. So that takes up more room.
Hey, Fred Rock, how are you doing? Thanks for joining us tonight. Um, let's see. Art Velvet J says, if they ever abuse the microtransaction, that would do it for me. Please go into further detail. What exactly would you say would be abusing the microtransaction system? Because many of us here feel like the system that they put in with um, the Land of the Lost or whatever it was called that was an abuse by making it a randomized. Jez, what would make you quit Destiny? Like, what would make you just say, I can't do it. I'm not ever going to play this again.
Well, to be honest, currently the road they're on, the lack of content that's just non-event content, and the lack of or sorry, the amount of random microtransaction-y content that's out there now is not conducive to me actually wanting to play it.
I feel like I would rather go back to a pay for update system. You know, like I would be happier with a with DLC instead of there being these microtransactions. Just include the whole thing into this DLC. Would that be something that you're interested in? like similar, like same stuff that they're handing out right now, but included in this overall purchase? Or does that also fall under something that's not good in your mind?
Well, in that case, then there will be details on what's coming up. They wouldn't just randomly pop out and say, "Hey,
Yep.
we got a
And I like
new
that idea.
update."
I see. I see. That's fair. I can definitely appreciate that. Crimson Warlock. What would it be for you? What would have to happen for you to not be interested in Destiny anymore and just walk away from it completely?
Um, Pretty much what Jez says, but like tacking a monthly fee onto the game. Just being like microtransactions aren't working, and we want to keep it this style, but so we're just going to tack on a fee and give you content when we have it done. That would definitely that would be it for me for sure. I'd never come back if they tacked on a monthly fee, and even if that monthly fee gave you silver every month, like I'd just be done.
So does that also cover an optional monthly fee? For example, I've talked previously about just wanting to give Bungie money to be this, to be a supportive guardian, like in addition to my time in the tower and my time out in the field, taking down baddies. Um, an optional fee, you could just be this Destiny Guardian Pro. Would that also qualify?
No, it'd have to be mandatory. I mean, like I still like. I mean, if I like this new event coming up on Tuesday, this Crimson Time stuff, then I'll give them $5. I'll give them $10 if I like it, depending on how much I like it. I'll give them an amount, but if it was mandatory, then I'd just be done with Destiny. I think. Just because they're not pushing out enough content quick enough. Definitely right now to justify a monthly fee, in my opinion, for the type of game that it is.
What if they did though? Like say for example, in the very beginning, before the game was launched, they were oftentimes talking about episodic content. What if there was actually something new to do every day? Like imagine what it would take for a monthly fee to happen. Because you're saying that with the current system and them not giving us any, there's no content. What if there was content? What if every single day there was, an entirely new mission? Would that still fall under your no list?
That if they did, well, I want to cut this in. Is if they put in an entire new mission every single day, that would be more content than they've ever pushed out since the game released.
Yeah. Yeah. Continue.
No,
Like
I'm
I'd be
just
happy. I'd
yeah.
be happy if I got enough. Like if I got, every month and a half to 2 months, a new content update. Even that fast I'd probably be okay with something like that. But um, like if if it if paying more often than like when a major content came out, then I think it'd kind of push me away in a big way, just because and like right now I haven't touched Destiny in a while because there's really hasn't been anything to draw me back. I don't think I've touched Destiny in almost 2 weeks right now. I'm playing other games and I'm enjoying this backlog that I'm finally able to get to. It's kind of nice to not feel guilty of, oh, I'm missing out on this Destiny stuff right now because I want to play this other game. Like I'm enjoying that guilt-free backlog right now. But if there was content coming out all the time, I'd just be like, yep, I'm good. I'll play Destiny a lot.
Interesting. That's something that I kind of feel that they've taken very much into account, is that they also want to be able to play their own game, and by giving by giving players this, what would seem to many to be a very large window. It gives a lot of people, to live your life. You can't play this week, fine. You can't play this month, fine. You are not going to be left behind completely. Certainly, those people who marched through all of the content in the first month, yeah, they are ahead of you. They've done stuff that you haven't done, but you're right. There is this moment where it's not forcing you to play. You're not forced to play, and I think that that's really important. Man, I had another thing to say, and I did not jot it down. But it had something to do with this. Let's see. RJ Velvet says, rolling the dice for equipment items. I just chose not. I just chose not to participate in. That makes sense. If you could purchase top tier in game items, armor/weapons is a deal breaker. I feel like that is a deal breaker as well. I don't, even though I would spend the money to do it because I do want to support Bungie and because I do want top tier items. I'm glad that these are all things that are not purchasable. You know, if I don't necessarily feel like I earned it when these drops are so random, but I definitely don't feel like I didn't earn it because I purchased it. And that's something I wanted to get back to. I don't know that we ever covered the $29.99 um, class upgrades. I'll
Yeah, we
write
never
that down.
really talked about those, so
Right.
this would be a great time to mention that real briefly. I personally don't really have a problem with it. It's the same thing that came with the collector's edition and that little gem that everybody got. If you're don't have the time or too lazy to get your character caught up to play immediately with your friends, which I think is the general idea, is that if you can afford it and want to jump right in with your friends and play right now instead of having to go piddle around for 2 weeks until you can start playing with your friends or hold all them back, so to speak, then whatever. That's not really, certainly not pay to win.
Yeah. I
So
agree. When this came out, there was a lot of hullabaloo, and I just couldn't care less. I could not
it
care
already
less.
happened. I felt like I'm like, this is what came out in the collector's edition. That was paid extra in the collector's edition. And granted, you got other stuff for what you paid extra in the collector's edition, but this still doesn't mean that they didn't sell an item that let you level up fast.
Totally. And I feel like it's just totally a non-issue.
Well,
Like,
and to be quite honest, I mean, we've gone on and on about, and not just us, everybody in the community, about level. Um, the level doesn't mean anything. Light level is what means anything now. It's just like, who cares? Just give everybody that logs in, make them level 40, because it doesn't make a bit of difference anyways. Who gives a diddly squat? I think
And
it's really wrong that they're charging so much to do it. But
well,
if
that's
people
because it's kind of
are
dumb.
lazy
Like,
enough, they don't want to do it. They don't want to pay. They want to pay money to make themselves higher level. So be it, because that doesn't mean anything.
right.
see, like I think like there was other points brought up that are valid. Like there's a good Polygon article, and it was more or less said in a nutshell, it's a slippery slope, and this isn't like a good sign necessarily for the future. Like although this isn't horrible, it's still just not a good sign. And that's all well and good, but we had that conversation back when all this started. Like if you ask me, this is nothing compared to that real world money slot machine for that flaming skull mask. That's horrid. This is nothing compared to that. So like we had that conversation about how that's a bad way to go previously, as
Yeah.
far as like the way they're going with microtransactions. So a lot of points like that, is slippery slope points, were brought back up when this happened again, understandably speaking. But I don't think this was any worse than what they had already been doing as far as microtransaction goes. Less so than that skull mask thing.
Right. I can't believe that it's 30 frickin' dollars. Like that's I feel bad for the people who purchase that because that's nuts. It does not
See,
take very long
I
to level up.
yeah, see, that's what I feel like. It's for people who have more money than they know what to do with.
Well, and
Like,
here's the problem I have with it, is that they're charging $30 to level up your character. Okay, they're not giving us content. Then we have members of the community that are saying, "Oh, I'm pointing my finger at you right now, but at you right now, Remy. It's like, oh, well, I'd be willing to pay a monthly subscription. I wouldn't, because how much are they going to charge us for diddly squat? They're already charging people $30 just to level up their character, and not even a level 40. So I mean that it already has gone down as far as microtransactions and buying stuff. It already has gone down a really bad slope, and there are a lot of there are a lot of people out there that have, and I don't agree with it, but they're like, oh, this is the perfect time to quit. I don't know if you guys saw that article last week. This is a perfect time to quit Destiny because, there's all kinds of stuff going on. They didn't even talk about microtransactions. As far as paying for stuff, and everybody knows I paid for that stupid skull mask because I wanted it, but it's not good. Charging people money for crap, which is really, and this is why I'm pissed off with Destiny right now, is that we have gotten crap for a long time now. And what I paid for the Taken King, the amount of content that I've gotten, it hasn't been worth it. Not compared to past DLCs and past stuff that I paid money for.
Well,
So
not only that, but they promised to, that they were, using this money from the microtransactions to help fund, the live team to put out content. And,
yeah.
people like Sharks have put out a lot of money to get that Flaming Skull mask, but they've only got the Flaming Skull mask for it. Bungie hasn't really delivered on much new content. Now, granted, we have Crimson's Days coming now, but I mean, Crimson Days is a single PvP mode with a cosmetic
Yep.
remake to the tower, not exactly volumes of content.
But here's the thing I think people aren't taking into consideration. New content, or using this money towards content, it's also using this money for our team to give you quote unquote better less lag in PvP and stuff like that too.
Oh, right, that's all part
That's
of it.
what
Yeah.
it's paying for. So it's not stuff that we're even going to necessarily see. So and again, that's why that frustrates me. I would rather pay. Here's $30. Here's 30
Well, I
bucks.
think
Give me my DLC because I know I'm going to get so much content in the DLC. I might not be happy
Well, I
with
think
that
Bungie
content.
would rather that too, but I don't
Yeah.
think that they're able to keep up with
No,
it.
I think
think that's the
Activision.
problem.
Yeah, I think it's Activision that doesn't want it because they want this to be
No.
an
I mean, I
MMO.
think Bungie is working on it, but I think they're unable to put out enough quality content quick enough to update the game the way they wanted to. We heard a
Yeah,
lot
but
of discussion from both Bungie themselves as well as sources behind the scenes that seem reliable, that comes with a grain of salt, about the development of Destiny and about how that timeline that we saw originally, that's obviously a real picture, that the original timeline, Bungie more or less confirmed at one point it was a real picture when they said that we're not on that timeline anymore. So
Yeah.
at one point we were
that's because they've
projected to
taken
get
that.
these 2 more DLCs come down the road, but they're unable, this is according to that Kotaku article where, the authors interviewing people that are anonymous from Bungie, so grain of salt, that they were unable to produce that quality enough for the time they had, and it was pushed off to Destiny 2, like
Yeah.
Charlemagne's Vault and these other things that have been previously
Yeah,
mentioned.
but okay. The thing is like, okay, I used to play a lot of Call of Duty. You would buy Call of Duty maps. You would buy into their stuff, and you would get
Those are just
stuff
PvP maps.
constantly. Yeah, but it doesn't make a difference. People
Oh
are
no, when you
paying
got to
big.
program AI, that's a whole nother story.
No, because it's not. Because look at a lot of the people that are playing Destiny right now. They're just going through randomly doing the raid, but most of them are playing PvP and they're pushing PvP. If they gave us new maps, that would be something. They're not giving
Right,
us
I agree.
anything, and in
But I don't think
fact,
that's what a
the
lot of people are
Crimson
talking about when they want
Tides.
$30 DLC.
Well, I'm not talking about that either, but I'm talking about it. I would be willing to pay such and such amount of money for something, whether it's a new map or a new set of maps, new sets of gear. I don't know, but
We lost Agrios.
yeah, but to get something. So it's just, I don't know. It's just frustrating to watch them not give us anything, and I know I'm not the only one that's frustrated with it. We all are. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that really the bottom line is that it's unfortunate that they're not communicating with us. I understand that they have to know what's going on before they can start communicating stuff, but I really feel like Gathalion hit it on the head when he said that it was partially due to that leak that it kept us going. It gave us something to talk about. It gave us something to hold on to, and as a community really hold on to. So I think that he really hit that on the head, in that we don't have any idea what's going on right now.
Well,
And
the other thing though is that, and that this comes from somebody that didn't play MMOs, so maybe that's why I don't have the right mindset that people are having as far as complaining about that part. But most games don't last as long as this one has. That
totally.
I played like Black Ops when Black Ops first came out. You can ask my wife. I played that every day, nonstop, for uh, about a year, and then I stopped. Then I didn't play it at all anymore, and then I went and got some other game and I was playing. And I was looking forward to Black Ops 2 coming out because I really liked the whole series and whatnot. But I think I think people have to kind of get into that mindset with this game too, is that when Destiny 2 comes out, we're not going to look at Destiny anymore. Yeah, maybe stuff's going to be brought over to it, but we're really, really holding on to this game, and maybe we shouldn't be thinking about it that way. We've enjoyed it. We've enjoyed it for this amount of time. There might be some stuff to do here and there. Play some other games, and then when Destiny 2 comes out, we'll all put another 2,000 hours into it. I don't know. I'm not sure because, like I say, that this if this is really meant to be an MMO, I don't know what that is like. So maybe I'm thinking on it wrong.
You know, I can't believe, like, every time you tell me that you played a bunch of Call of Duty, I think to myself, and he seems like such a nice guy, you know? I can't see you as a Call of Duty guy because you're just so cool and helpful, and I don't know. I don't view the Call of Duty community that way at all. But that would explain why you were such a badass in Crucible. That would really
Whatever.
that would really explain that, why you're always at the top of the board. um,
Whatever.
because while I don't feel the community is awesome or helpful, there's definitely some badasses there. So yeah. All right. So Crimson Warlock, did we? Oh yeah, we talked about what you would do. Okay. So before the broadcast, Jez, quickly thinking, said, "Quick, write down what would make you leave Destiny," and I really appreciate that. This is River's answer, and I wish he was here because I have questions for him. He says, "No content and players. As long as content is put out and people keep playing, I'll never quit. Things can only get better from here. Price hardly matters as long as it's kind of reasonable." And I feel strongly about the price hardly matters as long as it's kind of reasonable, because this is a hobby. This is a hobby for me. Like, talking about Destiny, playing Destiny, these other projects that I'm doing with Destiny. It's a hobby for me. It's something that I enjoy doing. And versus many, 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 many other hobbies, this is relatively cheap. I mean, as long as you're not. I was already going to have the system. I already wanted to play video games. So just the Destiny side of things, it's not a big deal to put out to put out that many dollars that they've asked so far. It's really not. But what I would ask to him, he said no content and players. That's where the community is right now. There is no content. There is no players. So River, what's up with that? um, and so we just need to move on, and I'm just going to give my answer so we can get to the rest of the stuff. Um, it this is going to sound lame and weird, but if they gave me everything I wanted, I would quit playing Destiny. And I know that I've railed against the fact that Grimoire is not in game and that you have to go elsewhere and that there's no definitive answers. But really, honest and truly, if they just gave me all the answers to everything I wanted, then there would be nothing left for me. I really like that people are putting together series. Like, Bife has these Legends of Lore series that he's putting together. He's piecing together little tidbits of information that have been given to us through the form of these grimoire cards, and he's weaving together this story. And I feel like if they just gave me everything I want to know, what's inside the Traveler, all of these other questions that I have, I feel like there wouldn't be anything left for me. They can really microtransaction a lot. I don't think I would quit if they started selling regular gear. I don't think I would quit if. Okay, so I think that I have to go back to Agrios's answer. They would have to do something evil. And as an example, uh, just this last week, the Fine Brothers, who do this React series on YouTube that I've really enjoyed. I've really enjoyed like Elders React, Teens React. I love seeing old people respond to new technology and young people respond to old technology. I mean, it's not the most original content because people have been doing this for decades. But I really enjoy it. And recently they tried to do this crowdsourcing thing where they were going to license these React things to people, and the internet just jumped up and bit them in the ass because they're sending out these DMCA notices to people who they felt had content that was too similar to theirs, even though they don't own reactions in any way, shape, or form. But now I don't know how I'll ever be able to watch their content without thinking these guys are greedy bastards. Like these people were trying to make it. These people were trying to corner this market and make it so where they could only do this, and everybody who wanted to make those videos, they're going to take a cut of. They would have to do something like this, like you were saying, Agrios. I don't know about sending troops to other countries. I mean, I know they
Oh no,
talk about
I
world
was
domination, but
I was specifically citing evil things that other corporations that I don't patronize have done. For instance, the company that owns Colgate and Old Navy, they actually hired squads of mercenaries to clear out villages in South America on lands they were going to use for stuff.
wow, yeah, okay, that's crazy. That's way crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
they
I was actually citing examples that other evil corporations have really done.
right. So yeah, so there would have to be this. I would have to not like them. I would have to, and this has to go beyond like business. Like the firing of Joseph Staten, the firing of Marty O'Donnell. Like these are things that happen. It's not. It made me sad. I really love Joe Staten. Like when I think about Destiny, even to this day, I think about Joseph Staten. I think about the words that he said that he described Destiny with in those Vidocs. I think about that. And I think this equals Joseph Staten. And I'm excited to play these other games that he's working on. But it would have to be something really evil, like microtransactions are on
Okay,
the
so
low scale.
okay, microtransaction evilness. Is this evil enough for you? What if they put a reforge node on weapons and armor that costs silver?
Yeah, I would buy that.
That wouldn't be evil enough with you. You'd just be cool if people could just reforge for silver, but only for silver. There's no way in game to reforge. You just have to find other examples of it in game.
Maybe what about yeah, I wouldn't quit. I would hope
Okay.
though that there would be like a 1 silver price, and then that just made that one gun reforgeable at the gunsmith. Like,
Oh no. Every time you roll it, it costs like 20 silver.
yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't quit
Every roll.
because of that. I wouldn't
I
quit because of that. I just wouldn't
I
I just
think
wouldn't use it.
Agrios. I think Agrios should be quiet and stop giving Bungie ideas.
All right, you're right. You're right. I should not fill them in on things like that, I guess.
Right, we're definitely going to blame you now if that's what comes out in this next Bungie weekly update. Um, so yeah, so there's very little that they could do that would make me want to quit. But yeah, giving me everything that I want already. It's because I already have so much that I want to know. If it was already just written down in a book somewhere, or I could just contact somebody and answer it. Like I like the word of mouth. I like I love in the grimoire that some of these things, like these are not factual accounts. These are like journal entries and, final words. These are things that These are just little reflections of perspectives, and that's effing awesome. That is so awesome, and I'm glad that they don't give me everything that I want, because that would make me want to quit. And I know that sounds lame, and I just been thinking about it, and I'm like, this is a lame answer, but this is what it would take. I don't want to know everything that I want to know. I want them to. It would be like if I could just call up Tool and be like, all right, I want a song about this, and I want a song about this. Like, how about I let them tell the story at the pace that they think they should be revealing it at. On the
Yep.
one hand, people could say that they're just trying to piecemeal all of this story. And on the other hand, there is something to be said about, you didn't know this in the first one. Spoiler alert, Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father. They didn't tell you that in the first, you know? They didn't tell you
I
that
have
in
seen those ones.
they didn't tell you then, and so there is something to be said about, rising tension and little bits of information. So,
Frankly, too, I would rather they held all this content back for Destiny 2 and put out quality content than release some half-ass slapped together, like, no story, like, done in 5-minute mission, because that's all they could manage to put together in the time they had at the quality level they require.
yeah, totally. Exactly. Um so yeah, so let's get through what we can get through. Agrios, take it
Yeah,
away.
I'll try to express as much as I can. I have quite a bit here since we haven't been on the air, but let's see what we can do here.
Alrighty.
So yeah, there's a new name this week. What was formerly known as the Bungie Weekly Update is now known simply as This Week at Bungie. Their reasoning stated that they're giving it a new name so that it will no longer be confused with patch notes, as they're called, Update 2.1.1, for example. And that could be confusing to new players, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm not
Um,
confused by it at all. I don't buy this. This doesn't make any sense when they're talking about, oh, well, what should we call it? Well, how about the Bungie Weekly Update? If you're
I
doing it weekly, if you're doing it as
well, I think it's the
Bungie,
word update was the problem,
no,
because they call updates
I bet you
updates,
it's
and
weekly that's the problem. This week at Bungie, that means that, oh well, we don't have to talk about it. This week at Bungie, we're not making a statement.
yeah, I guess I could see that. Or more simply, they just don't have to put anything out at all. Like weekly implies that it's every week, and this week at Bungie is.
that's another good point. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah,
But
I do love the week that they give us a fairly good, chunk of updateness. They rename it to Tidbits by Deej. Pretty nice.
right. So yeah, so I don't understand it. If you're still doing it weekly, it's still Bungie and it's still an update. Like Bungie weekly update sounds great. You know what? Whatever though, it's splitting hairs. So continue.
So continuing, we have update, as I mentioned, 2.1.1 coming. It lands on February 9th at 10 a.m. Pacific time, and that's also when Crimson Days will begin. Uh, they say a tower strewn with floral arrangements isn't all you'll find in the download. We've got a fresh round of revisions to the player experience. As for Crimson Days, the last week, senior designer Leif Johansson spoke to Deej about the new Crucible event. For 1 week, they're opening up a fire team only 2v2 elimination playlist with a twist. You get a significant buff while your teammate is dead. Having to ask someone to be your guardian Valentine and being filled with angry vengeance when they get killed are the experiences that they hope will define the event. When your teammate dies, you become enraged with the Broken Heart buff. When you find yourself alone in the fight, you gain maximum ratings for armor, agility, recovery, and weapon handling speed. Pairing up and having your kills count toward your teammates' Crimson Days bounties seem to reinforce the theme of partnership. They hope that it will create even less friction for more casual players to team up with highly skilled friends. You guys looking forward to Crimson Days? Remy?
Muted. It sounds cool, and I'm definitely going to try it out. And River wants to put together a montage of some sort from each of us. So I definitely want to try and give him some kind of stuff to work with. But I feel like this is moving in the wrong direction for me personally. I do agree that the buff when your teammate dies is it offsets the anxiety a little of, man, I've just failed my teammate. But I'd really have to see how that works in game in order for it to be like, oh well, I died, good luck, good job, man. You're gonna go kill them now.
I'm going to
Um,
team up with Sharks. Our strategy is going to be he's going to sneak behind me, and I'm going to go in like an insane maniac and draw their attention and get killed, and he's going to just wipe them all out.
right,
I've decided that.
he's going to get this excellent boost, and
Wait,
throngs of people will fall before him.
that's my plan for Crimson Days anyway. So
But yeah, I mean, really, I am a big team battle person at heart, just because I don't want that kind of pressure on me. I don't.
I'll
I'm
take
not.
one of them with me. You'll only have to kill the other one. Like, if his friend's right there, they might get the revive. I don't know. They should still be disoriented. He should get them.
That's funny. You know what I was thinking would be cooler than this, cooler than a buff, is what if when your teammate got killed, like 2 seconds later or 3 seconds later, there was like this burst of energy, much like when you're in that one strike and there's that giant eyeball thing. I can't believe I don't remember this name. And you have to hide in the shadows or else you get killed. I think that would be cool. Your partner gets killed, and the other team has to hide, or at least stand in the shadow of what would be this major blast. This, I think, would be a much cooler aspect than some sort of a buff. But again, it would be. I have to see how it works. Sharks.
You're kidding, right? Of course I'm gonna play. I love PvP.
Okay, Jez.
I do want to say one thing though, is that I hope that um, get some decent rewards instead of what's been happening with reward systems lately, which have totally sucked. But other than that, I'm definitely gonna play.
Got it. Jez.
I think the buff is backwards because it's kind of like there's less of a reason for you to protect them if you're getting a buff for them dying.
Yeah.
Like it seems like it would make more sense to stick together, and that's what gives you a buff.
Man, you know what
That
would be
would be
crazy?
concept too.
You know what would be crazy is if the person that got killed wasn't the one that was killed. Turn it on its head. So like
Oh, that'd be
Agrios rushes out there and takes the normal damage to be killed, and then Sharks drops dead in the background somewhere, and so Agrios gets
Well, as long as I
the
got my
buff.
shotgun out, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I could mow them all over with my shotgun by the time they kill two of us.
Right. Crimson Warlock.
So I'm gonna try see if I can't get some people to play with me and see how it goes. But honestly, for an event that is you know kind of commemorating the Valentine's Day stuff, why are we going into the Crucible to kill people? Like, why aren't we doing PvE? Is my thought. Is I know like there needs to be events for PvP, but I feel like PvE has definitely just been like, oh, there's challenge mode. That's all that you guys need. I feel like they've
Well, that's
kind of
really funny too
left
because
PvE.
the first ever event in Destiny was a PvE event. I mean, not first ever if you count the beta or whatever, but the Queen's event happened before the Iron Banner did after the launch, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, but that was like the only PvE event we've really
Well, I know
had.
that's just funny. Like in the real game, the first introduction of a limited time event ever was the PvE event, and that was the only one ever.
Yeah.
Agrios, and then moving on.
I'll definitely be playing. I already mentioned my plan before. I don't know if Sharks agrees with my plan, but
Sure, of course.
Pause. So as for revisions to the player experience, we saw several updates on the way on the way Crucible matches are handled over the course of the last week. This involved putting more emphasis on connection while matching. Excuse me. This involved putting more emphasis on connection while matching, while still taking skill into account. During the first ever Iron Banner Rift last week, Bungie implemented the new changes beginning on the second day of the event to give them a good before and after picture. These changes went well, and Bungie introduced more the following day, exclusively in the Iron Banner playlist. Bungie says that please be advised that your field of opponents may demonstrate a wider range of skill, still within the boundaries of a good game, though. And matchmaking may also take slightly longer, all in the interest of delivering a quality match with a good connection.
Night Mystic.
Overall, they say, what's that?
I said goodnight, Mystic.
Yeah. Overall, they say that lag is on the decline. Matchups are still close enough to provide the level of challenge demanded by the Iron Lords. Do you guys agree with that statement?
Okay, I'm glad that we got to this part because this is the part that I've been waiting for the whole night. Their lag fix sucks. It is absolutely the worst thing that they supposedly did because they didn't fix lag. In the end, I should say. It's actually funny. I was talking to, I was playing a match. This was the second to the last day. I think it was on Sunday. And I was playing against a team of the Safe Gamers. And the guy messaged me. He's like, oh, that was a great game. I mean, our team lost. But he was like, oh, man, you did really good, blah, blah, blah. And so we just got to chatting. And I was saying, oh yeah, it was nice because that had been the first game I had played on Sunday that didn't have horrible lag. And I said, oh, it was nice playing against you guys too, even though the team lost. There was no lag that game. And he goes, oh, I know it's been so bad since. And we both sent a message at the same time since Thursday when they switched. They did the second change. The second change to lag was pretty good because I actually was tracking lag. I was tracking games won, team play, solo play, all kinds of stuff during this last Iron Banner in case we were going to talk about stuff like that. And during the second changeover for the lag, it was amazing. You could actually notice you weren't going up against lag. Then the third changeover, it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible, and that's the one that they're keeping, and that's the one that they're putting into all the playlists now. And I just want to know the people at Bungie what they're thinking because they didn't fix the lag issue at all. It's really, really horrible. I'm curious what you guys thought. If you guys played much PvP that week, if you noticed anything, because what I was seeing was, especially when you were going up against teams, that's when you had lag issues. Not as bad against single opponents. In fact, if it was 6 single opponents, I hardly saw lag at all. But the second I went up against a team, then there was lag all over the place.
Interesting. Yeah, I personally won't be able to voice my opinion on this because this was the week that I was busy with people visiting from out of town during the entire event. So I literally didn't even get a single match in, unfortunately. I promised myself in the beginning, I'm like, oh, I can late at night squeeze, a couple matches in here. No, didn't have one moment to boot the game up.
Right?
I'm pretty sure the issue that you have is probably because you're getting matched up based off of the team leaders lag profile or connection profile.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
you got to deal with everyone else.
Yeah, well, but see, that's where it really frustrates me that the they're trying to stop the latency problem, but they're really not fixing the issue. But on Wednesday when they switched over the second time, it did fix it. So whatever they had done then, they should have kept that, but they didn't like what was going on.
Do you think that it had anything to do with there was probably a lot fewer people trying to queue up for matches at that point in the week than later in the week? No,
you think
because
that
the
had anything
second
to do with
no,
it?
because the second that they changed over, literally because I was on at changeover
So it was night
when
and
they
day
changed.
right then and there.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, it was totally noticeable. And like I said, I wasn't the only one that had noticed it. This guy from Safe Gamers, he
Right.
had noticed it too. So it's like, these are totally different perspectives. He was playing in a big team, and it was even when I was playing on teams too. It was really noticeable. So I know that they're trying to do stuff, but it's they're saying, oh, we've done all this great job over Iron Banner week, and now we're going to start implementing it into everything. They haven't really fixed the problem. I don't know. It's just that's very frustrating to me. So we'll
Well,
see
that's
what
unfortunate
happens.
to hear that
Yeah.
they had it fixed. It seems like if they had a handle on it and then went and changed something again, that's depressing.
Yeah, well, and
Oh,
then if we go into Crimson Tides, that this is why I'm really saying is that I noticed it when it was up against teams of more than one person. Well, these are gonna be teams. You're gonna have lag all over the place, and it's gonna
yeah.
be
Hopefully
horrible.
the fewer competitors will help that. I don't know. Earlier this week, they also applied those settings to Skirmish, and yesterday they brought them to Rumble and Control. Tomorrow, Trials of Osiris will join the new and improved club, and Crimson Doubles and Clash, as you mentioned there, will be next on their short list. Finally, they say that their current ability to do this is limited to 5 playlists, but in a future update sometime beyond February, that their intent is to apply it to all playlists.
Crazy. I didn't play it. Jez, did you play it? Crimson Warlock, did you play it?
No.
No, I had the worst week when it came to gaming during this last Iron Banner phase. I barely even was able to play anything that I wanted to.
That's
Crazy.
unfortunate.
That is unfortunate. We have about 10 minutes left. What do you got?
Okay, I'll push quickly. Other more immediate changes coming includes changes to the special ammo. Soon the 3v3 playlists Skirmish, Salvage, Elimination, Trials, and any rotating specialty 3v3 playlist will be hit with these new special ammo changes. Rumble specifically is not included. Senior designer Derek Carroll joined Deej to discuss this. After the update, players will start certain matches without special ammo. Once the match has begun, those green special crates will behave the same way you're used to. The PvP team wanted to increase the use of primary weapons, especially at match start. Sniper rifles and shotguns in particular inspire great happiness or sadness depending on which end of the weapon you find yourself, and they wanted to somewhat delay that. Currently, there are not plans to change the 6v6 playlist in this regard, as they feel they are less affected by the negatives of starting with heavy ammo.
This
What do
is
you guys
so
think about
exciting.
the special or
This
special ammo?
is
Sorry.
this is so exciting and something that we've talked about for a long time. It was right around the time they started making special ammo actually special in the Crucible. We were talking about, why don't we just start off with no special ammo at the beginning? Because
Kind of like Halo, you had to find the special weapons and such,
yeah, you didn't just start off with this. So I'm excited about this. I don't know why they're not taking it to each length. I mean, it really only makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Everyone uses their primary. This is like the very beginning section, and then the special ammo shows up, and now things have escalated. They were one way, and now they're second a different way, and then heavy ammo shows up, and the whole game takes on this whole new thing. Like it's really cool. I don't know why they're not pushing it to everywhere. I mean, I guess I
hope
I
they
would love to
do.
understand.
see it
I
everywhere.
really hope they do in the future. It would be a great thing.
Yeah, like you said, we talked about this before. I think we all want to see it on everything.
Right.
Special ammo really, in my opinion, isn't special when the first thing you do in every PvP match at the start is hit triangle or Y, whatever switches on Xbox. Like
Mhm.
why even have a primary in Crucible the way that it has been played in the past?
Right. Jez.
It's a good start. Yes. I almost would like to see some sort of like I don't want to say Call of Duty uh packages, streak packages, but if you had to like do some damage with their primary before they can use their special. That'd be great. And then do the same for heavy, except a higher amount.
That would be pretty crazy. That would be very very tactical. Agrios, and then moving on.
Yeah, I think it's a great start, and like you said, everybody should they should do it for all the lists. And another change coming is called the damage referee. This will basically favor the guardian with the best connection more than previously when the data conflicts. If your connection's good, a typical Destiny PvP match should feel like your best ones do now. If your connection's bad, they'll be giving you even more reasons to improve it. Expect to lose fights a lot more often, even if you think you shot first or escape behind cover in time. They asked the question, will I see fewer red bars? And the connection bars that they show in game are designed to give you a moment-to-moment idea of how good or bad each player's connection is to all other players in the game, not their servers. So yeah, those connection bars that you see in game are relative. We've just talked about this before. Are relative to your connection to that player, not necessarily that player's connection to the internet. It might just be that they're in China or somewhere, more likely.
Continuing.
Another new addition to the Crucible is strictly for solo guardians. Designer Jeremiah Pichel tells us about the new freelance playlists. A freelance 6v6 and freelance 3v3 are mixed mode playlists that are only accessible by solo players. No fire teams allowed. Freelance playlists will be available sporadically on the weekly rotators in the director. 6v6 features a mix of Clash, Control, and Rift. Freelance 3v3 features a mix of Elimination, Salvage, and Skirmish. Look for them next week. They're all. Does anybody have anything they want to say about that? I think it's a neat addition. I think
actually,
help
I
eliminate
actually
some of the
do.
lag issues.
I do want to say something about this because, and this goes back to Iron Banner too, is that a lot of people were complaining about Rift, saying, and this is actually why I did my number crunching. Oh, playing against full teams is horrible. And so Bungie's listened, which is really nice. They've listened in this regards. The community says that they don't want to do it, so they're going to give them an option to play against single players. But with all the Iron Banner that I did last week, the percentages aren't as high as people think. You do not go in there as a fire team against. If you go in there with a fire team, or if you go in there solo against other teams, the percentages aren't that much higher that they're going to beat you. But people believe it, so Bungie's done this. So
And I
hooray
think
for
it
Bungie.
depends on which play mode you're in too. Like I would agree with you that certain play modes, like Control, is easy. It tells people where to go, what to do. So I
Yeah,
think
but I mean,
that
a lot of people were worried about Rift, and all of my number crunching was off of Rift Iron Banner, and the amount of games that I
yeah, but you're
lost.
playing with more skilled people.
Yeah, but that goes so even more so.
No,
All
but
my
they're more the
solo
people
play.
on your team are more likely to know what they're doing because you're playing with a pool of more skilled
Oh,
people than
oh,
myself.
come on! Oh,
Okay,
come on!
so
Okay.
I think in addition to this, I mean, so the way I look at it is you may not be starting out with an advantage necessarily if you're in a full team, but you're definitely not starting out with a disadvantage. Like
Right.
that's the way I see it. Is it could you being in a full team of people that you already know and play with all the time, that could be an insane advantage, but it is absolutely not a disadvantage to be able to
Right.
know that there's three people over here, like your teammate is dead and they say to you there's three people over here. There's no way that is in any way, shape, or form a disadvantage to have that connection and communication. And so I think that this is really cool, and you will still be able to go into team chat in this
I
mode.
hope this teaches people to use that finally.
This might be that
It
sloped
might be.
floor. This might be that sloped floor that they're talking about. Like do you want to have that perhaps advantage or not, you know. So I don't know.
So
And it
most of
really
this is
is an advantage. In fact, like I've been playing World of Tanks today, and I forgot what it's like to go into. They already are talking to you in screen. You know, everybody's automatically, if they're on headsets, that can talk to you. It's totally an advantage when people are talking with each other. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody should always go into that. But anyways, I'm sorry. Just had to say that.
I think that's all we have. The time we have, unless Jez or Crimson Warlock wants to throw anything on this.
No, didn't really play. Can't. I can say that a team calling out like, "Hey, there's 5 dudes over here, so avoid here," is very advantageous.
Right, and at the very least, it is not a disadvantage. Like
No,
Crimson
unless
Warlock,
they're all spinning around circles.
right?
I would say that I haven't seen much of a difference other than that key of communication. When I do play solo, I usually always jump in the team chat, but no one else usually does, and so I feel like a lot of times that's why we lost because we do have I play a lot of pretty clutch games solo and just barely lose, and I'm like, man, if people just jumped in that chat and we could have
Mhm.
talked a little bit more, we would have won that one for sure.
Right.
So I think it's a good improvement, and we'll see how many people use the freelance stuff.
Do you have anything to add to that, Agrios?
No, there are a couple of changes to come into PVE. They're fixing some things in the raid. They're fixing the camera for the Daughters of the Oryx encounter for the runner. They're fixing the ogre's pathing around the bombs so that they won't teleport, and they're increasing the Vienna Singers drop in the Lost to Light mission. But that
Oh,
pretty much wraps
excellent.
everything up.
That's great to hear because I want that ship so badly.
Well, apparently someone did some research here, and I heard, I think it was on a Planet Destiny video, that out of like 80 Sherpa Lost to Light runs, they only had 8 people get a Vienna Singer.
Man, that's pretty rare. um, Thank you for that, Agrios.
Mm-hmm.
We should just start out every episode with you just running through information. Like,
Oh my god, I have so many facts here. I spend 3 hours before every show accumulating like at least 70% more stuff than I ever spew in any show.
you know what? Maybe what we should do is we'll do it backwards next week. Next week we'll start off with you and all of this stuff, and we'll just go from there. Shout outs, Sharks.
I'm shouting out to Jaded69 and Aaron the Salt Queen. While I was playing solo Iron Banner, they said, come join us, and I did that a few times during the week.
Excellent. Jaded's awesome. Aaron's awesome. Agrios.
My shout out this week goes to my girlfriend Lisa. She puts up with me doing all kinds of stuff for these gaming such things and whatnot, and goes and sits in another room that's less comfortable where she doesn't want to be while I do the show, so she doesn't make noise and stuff like that. So shout out to her.
That is so nice. That is so nice. Thank you, Lisa. Jez.
Shout out to Ryan Reynolds for playing Deadpool. Please be my doubles partner.
Awesome. Crimson Warlock.
My shout out tonight is to two of my favorite people on Twitter, N7 Strider because he keeps it pretty real all the time,
He sure
and
does.
River just because his retweets keep me well informed in a lot of things. So thanks guys for making the days go by faster at work on Twitter.
Yeah, Strider is excellent. Strider does keep it real, and River is like the center of this community. Like he's got so many tendrils out there. Such a shame that he can only come on the show as few as times as he does, but I appreciate having him here. My shout out is to my dad, who picked up an Xbox One and really wants me to play. And unfortunately, I got kids to raise, so he's out there just playing Destiny and enjoying his Xbox One. So congratulations to you, my friend. And he's so happy with the lack of a huge transition time when he presses the start button to go into his character. Like that was his biggest complaint with Destiny, is that just trying to change a weapon or even look at a weapon took so freaking long. And so, congratulations to him. That wraps up episode 71. I would like to thank everyone listening for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you have any questions or suggestions for topics to be discussed on the show, please leave them in the comments below or send them to feedback@guardian1.net, and we will see you next week.